What we have here is a replica set of gold plates. Of course, mine are made out of sheet metal. But anyway, this is the size that Joseph Smith said the plates were. They were 6 inches by 8 inches by 6 inches deep. If the plates were in fact that size and were made of gold, as many of the people that are here actually believe, because I do ask them, do you believe that Joseph Smith had gold plates? They say yes. Do you believe the plates were actually made of the metal gold? They say yes. I asked them, well, how heavy would those plates have been? Most of them don't know, other than they would have been heavy. The problem, of course, is that gold weighs 1,204 pounds per cubic foot. The size of the plates that Joseph Smith gives us means that the plates were actually 1/6 of a cubic foot. If you do the math, that means the plates, if they in fact were made of gold, would have weighed 200 pounds. It's an impossibility for a human to carry 200 pounds the way Joseph Smith allegedly carried the plates from where he had them in a hollow log to the place where his home was 3 miles away. According to the story, Joseph Smith takes the plates from their hiding place, he wraps them in a linen frock, he tucks them under his arm, and he proceeds to head home about 3 miles away. On the way, he decides to get off of the main road, and as he gets off the main road, as he's jumping over a log, according to the story, which is found in correlated LDS manuals, he was hit by a man with a gun. He gets into a scuffle with this man, and then he proceeds to knock the man down and then run away at the top of his speed. He goes down the trail a little bit farther, and the same thing happens again. He gets into another scuffle. He knocks the man down in the same way, and he's able to run again at the top of his speed away from this attacker. It happens a third time. This time, when he's fighting off the attacker, he dislocates his thumb. Then he finally gets to his house, which is 3 miles away. The question is, if the plates were really made of gold, how could Joseph Smith, who would have been a young man of around 22 years of age, been able to carry 200 pounds under his arm and do all those things? Jump over a log, fight off attackers, knock them down in such a way, and then run away so that they can't catch him to steal the plates from him. It's a physical impossibility. Now, many of the Mormons around here, when they hear that story, the first thing they'll say is, well, Joseph Smith was a buff farm boy. He probably was, but he wasn't that buff, and there's no way that he could have physically had done what the story actually says he did. The next time, when they realize that he couldn't have been strong enough to do that, the next story is well, it must have been a miracle. The problem is there's no miracle associated with this story. You won't find any Mormon apologists saying that God intervened to give him the strength, or by the Spirit he was able to do such an incredible feat. In fact, one evidence, I think the strongest piece of evidence against the so-called supernatural intervention theory, and that God actually performed a miracle through Joseph Smith, are Mormon apologists themselves. Because most Mormon apologists that you read, they really don't even believe the plates were made of gold. Instead, they'll say that the plates were probably made of an alloy called tembaga, which is primarily made of copper, but at least has to have some gold in it to keep the copper from forming electrolysis with the gold. Gold is really the only metal that could withstand being buried as long as these plates allegedly were buried. No other metal could do that. So there has to be gold mixed in with the metal. And what they try to do is they say that the plates, being made of tembaga, would have certainly been much lighter than gold plates. And then they have to arbitrarily add airspace between the plates, as much as 50% air gap in between the plates, to try to get the plates down to a manageable level. And many of them think that the plates were probably only about 53 pounds. There's a lot of problems with this. First, by trying to get the weight down to a manageable level, what they are in fact doing is admitting that there was no miracle involved. Because if there was a miracle involved, why not leave it at 200 pounds and just leave it at that? But they don't. And the reason they don't is because they know there's no miracle in this story. So they must somehow try to get the plates down to a manageable level. The lightest they get the plates down is about 53 pounds. And many Mormon apologists think that's light enough to do what Joseph Smith did. But even 53 pounds would be incredibly hard to do. I have a set of plates here. These are 53 pounds. And if I could get Mormons to try and reenact it, let them see if they can carry these plates for 3 miles. And even we'll throw in somebody to chase them every once in a while, see if they can reenact it. They can't do it. They probably wouldn't do it, because once you can prove that this story is not true, it proves there was no Book of Mormon, and it proves that Joseph Smith was not a true prophet of God. Mormons know that the stakes are really high when it comes to this story.